The island in the sky. They called it Nova Helix, a floating research station suspended above the clouds of Titan, Saturn's largest moon. After Earth collapsed under war and climate failure, it became the last haven for human science. It wasn't a city, it was a lab, and Dr. Alina Maris was its most guarded secret. To the world, she was a geneticist. Brilliant, quiet, reclusive. In truth, she was something else entirely. She was the 8th version of herself, a clone. And she wasn't sure how many more times she could start over. Memory drift. Each version of Alina was grown from preserved DNA, but the memories, those had to be uploaded. And memory, unlike genes, decays. In her dreams, she saw flashes from previous versions. A fire in a greenhouse, a child's laughter, a man with storm-colored eyes. But none of it felt real. None of it felt hers. Every clone began to drift, slightly off from the one before. Like copies of copies, the edges became blurred. She wasn't afraid of dying. She was afraid of forgetting who she was. The project, the Nova Helix facility, had one purpose: to perfect continuity of consciousness. If humanity could transfer not just DNA, but identity, memories, feelings, instincts, then death would be meaningless. The body could die, but the self would go on. Alina's predecessors had led the project. Now, she was its product, and her job was simple: finish what they started. The man in the chamber on day 312 of her cycle, the station received an emergency transmission. A lifeboat from Earth. No one had come from Earth in 13 years. The escape pod contained a single occupant, male, unconscious, body temperature stabilized, brain activity minimal. Alina scanned his DNA and froze. It was identical to someone in the archive. Someone marked, classified Maris Elias. She didn't know the name, but her hands shook when she saw it. The archive. She went to the deepest level of the station, a place she wasn't supposed to access. Inside the digital archive, she found folders locked behind biometric layers. But the system recognized her because it had been trained on her face for decades. One video file. She played it. A younger Alina, maybe the 2nd or 3rd version, appeared on screen. "We failed," she said. "Continuity is a lie. Every version drifts. Memory can't carry the soul, but he remembers. Always. He's the anchor. If you found him, you're almost out of time." Elias wakes. When the man opened his eyes, he didn't ask where he was. "Which version are you?" Alina's heart thudded. "You know me. I've known of you," Elias said. "And every time, you forget." He explained. He had been Alina's partner. Not just in research, but in life. He had refused to be copied, refused to be replicated. He stayed human so he could remember what the clones could not. "You made me promise," he said, "to bring you back. Not your data, you." The reset Elias showed her the backup, a full neural map of the original Alina, stored in ancient code. Raw, messy, imperfect, but real. "You can overwrite this version," he said. "You'll remember who you really were, before all of this, before the station, before the project." "But this version of me will die," Alina whispered. He nodded. "Yes, but you won't." The choice. That night, Alina stood alone in the memory chamber. She could stay as she was, a hollow echo growing more faded with each clone, or she could be reborn truly, with all the scars and love and memories of the woman she once was. She closed her eyes and pressed accept. Reclamation. When she awoke, the world was different, familiar, painfully so. She remembered the smell of coffee on Earth's last autumn, the feel of her sister's hand during the evacuation, the way Elias looked when he was scared but pretended not to be. She remembered herself, and she cried, not for the past, but because she was finally whole again. Epilogue. Earth, one day together. They left Nova Helix. There were other stations, other copies, other versions of other people, but Alina was no longer a ghost in a shell. She had a body. She had her memories. She had a name that meant something again. And in the ruins of a forgotten planet, among the quiet ashes of what once was, she whispered a promise. Never again.